Science and technology raced ahead in 2025, delivering breakthroughs that reshaped our understanding of the universe, life, and intelligence. Yet, alongside these advances, deep failures also continue to cost lives. I now have Dr. V Venkateswaran, professor at IISER Mohali, on what these discoveries mean and what they reveal about our priorities. Thank you for joining me, sir. My first question is from the sun's corona to the deepest ocean trenches, 2025 saw breakthroughs across space, biology, AI, and climate science. So, what, in your view, ties these seemingly diverse discoveries together as a single scientific moment?
Yeah. So, what I was thinking is that the way, for example, we have advanced in science and technology in the last 50 years, something unthinkable. What would have been, for example, about 100 years ago, a science fiction is practically you are seeing it in real life. If you look at science fiction around 1950s, people talked about editing your genes, changing the character, and so on. It's becoming practical today because of the new technologies like biotechnologies like CRISPR technology, gene editing technology, and so on, and which are also getting better and better. So I think we are living in a magical time in a way.
My next question is on optical computing and the future of AI. So, light based chips promise faster, cooler, and more energy efficient AI systems than today's silicon chips. Could optical computing fundamentally, disrupt today's AI power structures dominated by few tech giants? What do you think about it?
Yeah. If you look at the current electronics, the two way forwards were one was optical computing, the other is quantum computing. Of course, quantum computing is also making strides, but there are a lot of difficulties in quantum computing because of the low temperature in which it has to operate and so on. So mostly quantum computing is in experimental stages. I mean, it doesn't seem to be immediately practicable, but I'm sure that it's going to become practicable, and it'll completely revolutionize the way not only AI, the whole what we today call as electronics will completely change with the quantum computing. That's a different area. But meanwhile, I would say that let's say in the medium term, the optical computing is breaking the barrier. See, the main issue is following: you can pack more and more transistors in small area, which we all know it's a miniaturization. That's what a chip is. Make a chip more powerful in that manner, meaning that permitted to make more computation in a given time. Yeah, there are progress that is taking place, but there is a limitation in the sense that beyond a point, I mean, you cannot miniaturize because of the nature of the material itself. For example, electrons have to travel, and if you put really a very nano structure, electrons will have more collision, so it will produce more heat. Your system will not work properly. So, if you want to come out of that, let's say, limitation of miniaturization, you need to think radically outside. So, instead of using electrons, the photonics, the optical computing essentially uses photons instead of electrons for your electronic circuits. I mean, of course, no longer we will call it as electronic circuits, we will call it as protonic circuits. But what today that has developed is in between. It's not a complete photonic circuit, but it is photon based electronics. It's a in between hybrid, and it has become practicable, meaning that it's not just a laboratory finding, but it's something that is now being produced in mass quantities for usage, and it's being used, and it's been developed in China, and that's a real technological breakthrough in a way. I mean, in the recent past, because number one, it's one major innovation in technology that has happened outside what we would call as the global north. I mean, a country which is outside the so-called G5 and so on has been able to make this particular breakthrough. So, which also would mean that the kind of dominance by certain international corporation will get challenged in coming days, or maybe new collaborations or new amalgamations may also happen. We don't know how the business will move, but then it's not business as usual. That's very clear.
One interesting thing I read this year about is about preventing cancer and how there are some advancements in that field, and scientists are now targeting cancer at the precancerous stage using gene editing strategies. So, how realistic is the promise of preventing cancers before they even become deadly disease?
Yeah. I mean, see, the cancer prevention is something that people have been talking for ages, and in science journalism, we are always cautioned that almost every 3 months there'll be a paper which says that cancer cure is around the corner, and then the corner never comes. Yes, there is an issue there. But what has happened in the recent study, which was done by Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, is they have been able to pinpoint a particular protein machinery, which is essential for the faulty KRAS gene, which is a cause for most of the pancreatic cancer. Without that protein, the KRS gene cannot function properly. So basically, you are strangulating the cancer producing gene, and that finding and resultant treatment process that people are talking about seems to be interesting. More important is with the gene editing technology, now we have a lot of ways to explore ways of arresting cancer at the bud. That's what I think is more important than this particular discovery per se.
Despite remarkable discoveries, preventable deaths, unmet climate targets, and rising inequality also persist. In your recent article, you suggest that knowledge alone is not the problem. So, despite having the science and technology, why does the world continue to fail on health or even climate action?
Yeah, there have been a lot of studies on this particular issues, which of course goes beyond science and technology into economics, international economics, macroeconomics. I may not be a expert on those areas in a very serious way, but having read many things and then looked at many issues, what we see is there is a great potential, but we seem to be not following that up. I mean, even with the existing medical knowledge, technologies that we have, forget about new technologies that may emerge tomorrow with the gene editing and so on. There are something like millions of deaths we can prevent, but that's not happening. So there is something wrong. It's not about lack of knowledge that is causing death and misery alone around us, but it's actually availability of this knowledge, technology, and access to medical facilities. That's I think important thing. One recent study kind of estimates something like staggering number. 21,000 daily preventable deaths. I mean, we are not talking about in a year or something like that. At global level, something like 21,000 daily preventable death, of which 15,000 is lack of medical care. So, which essentially means that the medical technology is available, knowledge is available. It's just that people cannot access it. That's really very sad. I mean, that's not 21st century. Certainly not 21st century, right? So that's very damning situation that we have. Perhaps the way we have been building the society in the last few decades, assuming that the market is adequate to address all challenges, I think we may need to relook at it, question it carefully.
Your piece looks back at defining breakthroughs of 2025, many of which were once considered distant or speculative, like you first explained in the at the beginning of this interview. So, looking ahead, what do you see as the next big breakthroughs in science that could redefine the coming decade?
See, predicting science is a bit difficult terrain, but there are very interesting programs that are being planned. A lot of countries are making their effort to go to moon. So perhaps within a decade, we will see something drastically different with regard to moon exploration in terms of human settlement over there. Something like, for example, International Space Station continuously keeps human presence in space. Something of that kind perhaps would begin on Moon. There are a lot of challenges there also. I mean, like there are issues of sovereignty, issues of who owns Moon, and this that kind of question. Leaving that aside, I mean, this I think a possibility that is over there. And second, the emergence of supercomputing with AI perhaps will change the way we do some of the activities where you need big data analysis. Something like discovering genetic basis of certain diseases or weather prediction and so on, modeling and so on. I think we are going to see some major radical difference over there, including designing new materials. For example, this year's Nobel Prize in chemistry is for a new material, right? So that kind of materials can be now designed and developed, which will also create new opportunities plus perhaps some new challenges and doubts.
As these discoveries show, science continues to expand the horizon of what humanity can achieve, but the real opportunity now lies in aligning the knowledge with purpose and policy.
Yeah.
Dr. TV Venkateswaran, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.